Hello, my name is John.
And I'm Nikki, and we are the bosses next door.
There you go.
Yep.
All right. When the market crashes, lessons businesses don't talk about.
That's what we're talking about today.
That's what we're talking about today.
Ooh-wee.
So I think, what do you think about that before I jump into this?
Market crashes, recessions, things that make people freak out.
I think we can talk about the COVID time, right? When COVID got inflated by money and businesses that weren't doing so well got inflated and did better than probably they normally would have. And then over time, they started falling apart because they didn't have that influx of money that's gone away.
Or the infrastructure, right? Like the processes and things to
No
make
foundation
it
built.
happen. Right.
Yeah, so somebody, I built this business and I'm going to leave and go do these things, and the business has nothing to stand on, doesn't have a good leadership team, not good morale.
Right. So today we're going to focus a little on like how to prepare, how to respond, how to recover when things like this happens, when there's trends in the industry that are causing us to go, okay, wait, this is different. What's happening?
I think there's trends in the industry, and I think also we should touch on like when stuff happens locally to you, or you lose maybe a big contract, or you lose a big whatever that is, and it financially is going to hurt. Like, how do you navigate and get through it?
Right. So if something happens and we need to act fast, what are some things we should do?
Right.
So do you have an example of that?
I do. So we don't do HOAs. So we own a landscape company and a virtual office and a CRM system, what we talk about later. But the landscape maintenance company, we're primarily residential. At least that's what we started off in, because of Jonathan Koshnick. And we just thought it was like what he did was pretty awesome. So we did that, and which is fantastic. As we've grown, we've picked up small commercial, but it was a year ago, I think. It was a year ago.
Maybe 2
years ago. So we didn't have any HOAs. All of a sudden, we picked up 2, like within a month or 2 of each other. Did really good with the first one, and we're on pace. Did awesome. Turns out they didn't like one of the guys that were managing the property, and I think we were doing 100. So like it was 110 or 120,000 a year for that one, plus any like irrigation issues or whatever that is, right? That was all in there. The other thing is then we picked up another one randomly. I had our board president call us and he to take over right away. I think that was 80 or 85,000 a year. So we land 2 of them. We're like, oh my gosh, fantastic! There's $200,000 of maintenance that we get. And so, we were able to absorb most of it. We ended up having to hire some guys. We ended up getting fired off both those, like, almost simultaneously. It was wild. The $80 or $85,000 one we picked up, we lost because he never got okay from the board members. So after they went through the meetings and all this stuff, and we did a ton of work there. We ended up losing that one. And then right after that, we lost the big one. There was a disagreement with one of the managers. We never heard about that. I asked for an exit interview. I went and talked to them about it. It came to light that they weren't super fond about one of the managers that were there. And so we lost 2.
One of the managers on our team.
On our team. Yep. But even though we ask, we reach out, we all the time, like, is everything okay? Is there anything we could do different? They just didn't communicate that with us, which is, lesson learned. And so ultimately we lost $200,000 before extra services and all that other stuff. We lost it immediately. And so we were about, where we were at the time, $1.5 million maybe.
Yeah, probably around
Something
there.
like that. And so to lose $200,000, like, bam, gone. We had to decide what we were going to do. So I think the knee-jerk reaction is like, oh my gosh, man, we got to let some guys go. We got to shut down a truck. We took a little bit of a different approach. We buckled down and we went for it. And we pivoted out of it okay. But I think that was quick action on us. We learned a lot through that time, a lot of do's and don'ts. We don't have any HOAs. I don't want to do any HOAs because of that. But I think that was a moment that we had to really figure out and pivot. I've seen a lot of people go down with the ship because I've been doing this long, right? Well, they're not making any money, and they didn't adjust for inflation. They didn't adjust to have to pay their guys more. They didn't adjust for all of these things. And yet they're still making the same amount of money, but they're pushing out way more money, right? So if you're making 10% net profit and yet your expenses and everything go up, 5, 6, 7%, right? And it just chewing away your bottom line. I don't think people realize that, and they don't watch out for it. And then all too often we're too scared to raise prices. And so when you don't raise prices, right, you're inevitably just you're giving money away instead of making money.
So what I'm hearing you say is losing the HOA caused us to pivot and change gears. Elaborate a little. What did we do? We didn't try to get more HOAs. So did we just try to bring in more work? Like, do you remember that time?
Yeah, we went heavy after, we would go heavy after residential already, but we went heavy after residential, really trying to figure out how to bring more people in. We went and started looking at the crews, who's the best people that fit for us, who maybe isn't a great fit for us. Not that we pushed anybody out. We had a very honest conversation with everybody. Hey, we lost a lot of money from these 2 properties we don't have anymore, but we're going to make it out of it. And so things got really, really lean for a minute, as far as we weren't making money for a couple months. Mm-hmm. And we came out of it actually pretty good. I think we got really, really, really fortunate. Mm-hmm. We picked up a big contract with I think it's 86 or 87 commercial buildings, small ones. Mm-hmm. And so that was a whole other mess, but
definitely helped offset some of that.
I think that was around the same time. Maybe we already
towards
had
the end, so we had already kind of come out of that pivot, and then we landed that.
Yeah. So I just think you got to be really, we're just talking about when the market crashes, either locally or nationally, right? I think you have to. I've learned a lot from listening to Jim Houston. Jim Houston used to come to our shop, he was an amazing man. Jason Cupp. But you have to prepare to sell. And I think you always have to prepare to sell. And I think if you have a mindset of that, you want to be profitable, you want to show your book's got to be good. Mm-hmm. But if you want to be prepared to sell, you should be okay because you know where your numbers are at, right? I add a truck. This is how much it's going to cost me. This is how many guys I need. This is how much revenue they're going to need to bring in. If I subtract a truck, right?
Yeah.
That whole thing. So I think you have to know what you're doing. We didn't know what we're doing all the time, for sure.
No, and we weren't prepared to sell in the beginning, right? So we were trying to figure it out. But I think there's something to be said about that, because if you're building your business to be able to sell it at some point, and maybe you're not going to, but that's something that could happen, you set everything up a little bit differently to make sure you're structured so that your P&Ls look the way they need to look, your balance sheet looks the way it needs to look, your procedures in your within your team are all built out so that if you do sell, it's here's the playbook and everything works.
Absolutely right. And to add to that, so we just, at Little John's, we lost a big manager last week, right?
Unexpectedly.
Unexpectedly. We were there, we were in Arkansas to go see our son play college football, get a call that, hey man, I don't know if you know, but such person just is done. Now, we really care for the person. I wish him the best. I really, really do. And it was
really
unfortunate.
Good dude. Yep.
Yeah. Really unfortunate. But the knee-jerk reaction, and this is because we deal with CallBoss, right? We deal with a lot of companies across the United States and Canada. Their knee-jerk reaction, I feel for a lot of people, would be let's go hire another manager.
Sure.
Right? Boom, boom, go do that. I was no, pump the brakes. Let's see what is really needed, right? So we have a whole strategy laid out. I've worked on a lot a couple days after he left. And so that our supervisor and the other people are there, hey, they're kind of panicked a little bit. And it's it's okay, but this is what we're going to do. This is why we're going to do it. And you could just see oh, okay, there's a game plan. There's a purpose of what we're doing right now.
Right.
And I think you have to be a leader in times of hard times.
Absolutely. And I think we've been through it enough to know that it's fine.
Yeah.
Bottom line, end of the day, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And we say that 1,000 times a day, but we really will figure it out. So
right.
Make it happen.
Yeah, he's always we're the only two that can't go anywhere.
Right. Everyone can be fired except us, so we will figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
That's right.
And ultimately it leans on you as the owner, right? You have to step up. So I think that could be a really hard time losing a big manager for a lot of people. And we're going to have some stuff we're going to have to move around. But ultimately it's not being knee-jerk reaction. It's going and figuring out what's best for the company and what's the next move.
Yeah. And that's not a market crash. That's just something that happens in business at any time it can happen. And so I think when things like that happen, entrepreneurs and business owners, we all look to, okay, let's go online or let's go to Chat GPT and what would you do in this situation? You're looking for stories or different things that strategies that people talk about so that you know how to navigate those uncharted waters, right? These things happen and maybe they've never happened to you. I know there's an episode that we talked like maybe 2 or 3 where we talk about where we woke up and there was like a negative $7,000 in the bank and I panicked and I cried and all these things, but now I know how to navigate that situation because once you go through something crazy, then you know, okay, it's not going to be crazy if it happens a second time or if something happens that derails everything.
Absolutely.
There's a way to find an answer and get it back on track. So.
Well, that's just it. I think like you have to be level-headed. Like you have to like, it's okay to like freak out inside, but like you just have to like, let's figure it out. Or go to your team like, I don't know what the answer is, but we're going to figure this out. So,
I mean, it's not a market crash or technically like a business lesson, but we could speak to that actually with CallBoss. Right now, we are changing all of our marketing strategy to try something completely different than we tried for the whole first 2 quarters of this year. Prior to that, it was all word of mouth. So our first 5 years, we grew relatively fast and well, just off word of mouth. And now we're in year 6 and we're starting to market and we need more clients. But at the same time, now we're trying to figure out what the best marketing strategies are for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we spent a lot of time working on it. And like, so now something that I'm doing that I never thought I would be doing is I'm learning marketing. And I'm learning marketing as far as like, okay, we do this, test it, see how it works. We do this, test it, see how it works. And it takes me back to when we first started Little John's is like, I didn't know how to do this maintenance stuff. So like I asked first employee Jose and everybody around me, how do you do these things? I'm doing the same thing in marketing. I'm going to our company that we're using for marketing is Kudos. And we're asking Cameron, like, okay, Cameron, I'm doing this, what are we seeing? All right, cool. We're, like our click rate right now, I think is, the average is like 1 to 1.5%. We're at like a 3% click rate, which is great. And so we have, I don't know, thousands and thousands of people have clicked on it. The problem is like they get to this point, they call to action, they're doing that, but they fall off at the very end. And it's like, okay, but why? So then we went and I spent 2 days rebuilding 50-something videos, which is changing a little bit of the ends, right? And so it's just doing this massive thing. So like it's a call to action as far as like, we got to figure it out. We're in our little storm, right? Because we're doing a different form of marketing. We had to change things up because it's, what we were doing before wasn't necessarily working, right? And I think also, and I think that's the other part of it. Nikki and I could put our head in the freaking sand or put all our efforts to somewhere else, right? But you, as an owner, you need to see what the problem is and you need to deal with it, right? And I think that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and it's tough, but we'll figure it out.
Oh, it's tough.
Because it's really frustrating. I mean, if we're going to go a little bit down the rabbit hole, but it is like a business lesson.
Every episode.
We can bring it back. But when things like this happen, it's like we're trying to figure out, okay, what's the cause? We can get the traction there. We can get the people there. They'll see the free tools. They'll use the free tools, but then they're not booking a call. So something is off. But I think there's not a lot of time to capture an audience and get them to understand the value of what it is that you offer, right? So before they check out and are on scroll to the next, you got to figure out how to get them in so that they're interested. We're getting them interested. We're getting them to the free tool. They're using the tool. They're seeing the benefits. But there's some little piece.
It's the call. Okay, so we'll continue down that rabbit hole. So that's the same. That's the piece that we're talking about. I had to go rebuild 2 days worth of videos because like we're asking like, hey, we have this missed call calculator. Click on the link below, and it takes you right to the video. And I'm going through on how it works, right? And then so they're taking the action by clicking on that, but it's not the right action we're looking for. The action we're looking for is for them to sign up to get a call with us.
Right, so we can show how it works in their business.
It's like action.
Yeah.
We had to take one of those action steps out to get it to go in and sign up with us. So like now we're doing split testing. We're like, okay, well, we'll do a split test. One is, hey, here's our video, and Click the link below to get your free missed call calculator. Then we'll run a split test of like, hey, click the link below, sign up for a 10-minute free audit, right? To show you like how important it is when you miss calls. So like, it's pretty crazy to think like, okay, which ones are doing? And we had 50, we initially started off with 50 videos. We took the top ones that are performing. What's good? Okay, we're walking through doors on this one. This one's we're walking around. Like there's like, okay, which ones are? Now we don't do the exact video over, but we're doing something similar. And we did another 50 something videos. We're changing the verbiage and sending out, and then we're going to run and flood and test those markets. So it's super, super interesting because they do the call to action. They just don't take the second step like you're saying. You're like,
yeah,
dang it. Every morning I wake up like, okay, did it work? No. Okay, let's move, tweak, do this, you know?
Yeah. And that's going to help somebody. Somebody's going to hear that struggle that we're going through and say, oh, I can relate to that. This is what I did. Or I'm in that same storm. Maybe when we figure out what the answer is, we'll share it, and then somebody will be able to succeed based off of what we're going through.
And I think what I'm learning right now is people try it and they give up really fast. I think that's why people jump from marketing companies so fast.
That could be. They're
Right.
not seeing the result they want that quick.
Then I think that like, oh, well, I got a marketing company, they should just turn the switch on and go. Maybe, but maybe like, if depending what product you're selling or what service you're selling, maybe you need to have something a little bit different.
Or even with that, and talking with our marketing company, there's so many companies they help, and then they flood the phones, and then people can't keep up, and we're like, hello, that's what we do. We can help you with that, because they have to have a plan. Somebody's got to be there to bring in all those leads that are coming.
That part is the most astonishing part to me.
Yeah, for sure.
People are willing to be like, oh, I have a assistant, or I have an answer. Great. It's fantastic. It's one step better than most. Problem is, they take a message and then they pass it to you, and guess what? You're still doing the work, right? So when we built CallBoss, we're like, man, we need to eliminate that process. So we literally can take a lead. If you have your CRM set up right, we can take your lead, give it an estimate, convert to a customer, take your credit card, do credit card payment. We can do all these things that your office can do, and then you're going to get a nice little message from us. Hey, this is what happened. This is when it happened. No need of action. Or there is a need of action, whatever that is. But we're trying to do the majority of that work for you. And I think overall that gets overlooked a lot. People are like, oh, you're just answering service. No, we're an answering service like
that closes sales like over the phone.
Times 10.
Yeah. We're just trying to make sure that it's seamless, because there's nothing more frustrating than a client calling in and then they get some information and then somebody's got to call them back from another, for us, it's from another company, even though we act as if. There's limitations to what we can do with some of the companies we answer for. So then it's back to them in their court. And if they're going to sit on it, you're still wasting money. If you empower us to be able to do the thing, get it to the end, and then all you got to do is schedule a job. And in some cases, we do schedule jobs for people. They just
drop them on those days.
Get them on certain days or whatever and dispatch them. So we're that plug and play piece that people are missing. So
yeah, it's super interesting. And you're getting into it for, $200-300 a week, right? And then like they're going to hire office staff. Okay, that's awesome. We're not trying to take your office staff's job, but if you need to find additional work or you need to hire somebody additional because you have this rush during the season, do you need that employee all year round? And now you have to have a desk. Now you have to go train. Now you have to have insurance. Now you have to have all these things. We take care of all that stuff for you guys, and it's just super, super interesting. The psychology behind it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'm trying to buy a motor for one of our work trucks, and man, God bless the guy that was on the line. I felt bad. I mean, it was super loud in the call center, super loud, thick accent, couldn't understand, we couldn't hear each other. And I was like, it's okay, man. I'm just going to call somebody else,
That sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah, they're missing out on money.
And they don't even know it. Or they're just like, screw it. It's a numbers game. Whatever,
For the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, as those lessons and things occur, you want to make sure you've got a plan. So one thing I don't think we talked about too much, though, is mindset, though. it's good to have a hopeful mindset, but you also have to be realistic. So when things happen, hope for the best, pray for the best, but then be
Prepare for the
realistic
worst.
about, right, prepare for the worst. What's the realistic outcome here based off what the situation is that life has thrown you, right?
Yeah, I think all too often you can like, oh, everything's going to be fine, and you're like, checks are bouncing and everything else, right? Like, I think there has to be a time of like, no, man, like, this is really what's happening and we need to deal with it, right? And it's not always the great decision. You're not going to be the popular person all the time, but you got to save the herd, right? You got to maybe let go of a couple people to keep everything going. And I think that's really hard for people to swallow.
Yeah, nobody wants to do that, but depending on what's happening in your business at that time, you might have to really weigh that out.
Yep. And that's the hard part of being a business owner. You just have to be realistic about what you're doing, right? So like when at our lawn care company, we carry a couple extra guys because we know there's a pattern of people that call out. Not one in particular person, but you have a lot of guys outside. There's always going to be that 1-2 guys that are out for whatever reason that is. They have life. So we have them in there, but it's amazing. Like, our numbers still run good, but man, you carry 1 or 2 more than that, then you're like, oh shoot, it's killing you.
Payroll's pretty high this week.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because we do a 4-day work week. So Tuesdays are our higher call out day, and it's like you just had 3 days off.
Oh, it's crazy. So sometimes we give them permanent days off. But
so
yeah, but you have to be prepared, right? You can't be naive. Like, oh, if everybody shows up, we're good every day, every week, right? You're like, no, it's not reality, man.
You gotta have some backup.
Yep.
Just a little.
Just a little. Just a little.
So we're gonna wrap up this episode, but if you know somebody who's building a business, don't let them be caught off guard. Have them look at this episode, share it with them so they can make a plan before it's too late. They got to have things in place so that they're ready to go before things go left.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.